Hey everyone, it's Emily Cressey here. I am just wrapping up a wonderful open house that we did in Everett. This is the property that it was for. It's a fabulous home, and I haven't done an open house in a while. The MLS here in the Seattle area has just started allowing real estate agents to do open houses again. It was shut down for quite a while with COVID. They were just not wanting those groups of people in the home. But as of this week, we are now back in business with open houses, and so I got a chance to do one this first weekend here up in Everett. And the key is that we have to still wear masks, we have to do social distancing, and there's a limit to 5 people in the house at a time. So I didn't know what to expect. It was raining when we started, and we just decided to do the open a couple days ago, so we didn't have a chance to send out postcards or do any of the marketing that I would typically like to do on something like this. But it turned out fabulous. It was hopping the entire time. The moment the clock struck 3, there were people at the door wanting to come in, and I literally never got a chance to sit down for the whole 3 hours. There were just groups of people coming. If they couldn't get in the house when they first arrived, we would have them walk around the property. This was a gorgeous view on this property. I don't know if you can see right there. Look at that view. This is over an acre of land, and it's just kind of on the edge of a small valley. So sitting in the backyard there, you just have this tremendous view. Of course, it was a little harder to see with the rain, the thunder, the hail. Up in Everett, we didn't get hail, but down in Lake Forest Park, it was hailing. So at any rate, people really enjoyed walking the property, looking at the view. There's 5 garages in this place, 5-car garage. So they got to go into the outbuildings. There was kind of a wine cellar storage shed under the house. It was just a really unique and beautiful property. And so, of course, I had a wonderful time geeking out, looking at all the cool features, the hemlock trim around the windows and the real hardwood floors, all that, you know, the kind that you can sand down and refinish if you need to, rather than kind of the pressed laminate that you see more in kind of builder new construction type of homes. So anyway, I really enjoyed the property, and I really enjoyed meeting all of the people who were coming in, and I thought it might be helpful to you if you're in the market, going to open houses, kind of working with the idea of starting in. I thought, since I was in the role of a buyer's agent in this case, I would give some tips to buyers who are entering the market to kind of give you an idea of what's happening. So you can come to the house. You do not need an appointment. Typically, it's going to be listed online on the MLS if an open house is scheduled. You can come with your agent. So if you're already working with a buyer's agent, then your agent can come with you, and you see the property with you, talk about it with you. But if you don't have an agent, you can still get in. Typically, there is an agent, such as I was the agent in this case, who is holding the house open. That means they're unlocking the door at the beginning, they're locking it at the end, and they're sitting there in the house ready to answer questions, with data about this houses surrounding the neighborhood, ready to kind of answer questions. But their primary goal is to build a relationship with you, so that if you are in the phase where you'd like to start working with a real estate agent, that you can go ahead and choose that person. If you connect, if you feel like she's going to be useful, have the right attitude, have the right information, have that good personal connection, then that's a great place to meet an agent and see if she's the one for you. So things that agent, like whoever is in the house, should be asking you are you pre-approved? Because right now in Seattle, if you are not pre-approved, you are not going to have your offer accepted. The market is just too competitive. There are about 5 times as many buyers as there are houses for sale. We have a really low, 1-month inventory, which means the houses are just jumping off the market. A 6-month inventory is considered balanced. So 1 month means that the houses are basically going under contract right away, and so you just have to come in really strong if you want to be a buyer. When we were at this open house, I would say 10 or 15 family groups came through, and 2 or 3 of them sounded interested in making an offer. And one has already contacted the listing agent saying it sounds like they're planning to put an offer into place. So if you're casually looking at an open house and you find a home that you want to make an offer on, you have to be locked and loaded, ready to go, and that means having a pre-approval with a lender. So I work with a couple of great lenders. If you need a contact, I'm happy to do that, but they have all sorts of lending programs now. They have low money down, no money down, down payment assistance programs. So if you don't have a full 20% down payment, there are still lots of options. If you're selling a house and you need to have sort of a bridge financing to go from selling your old house into buying the new house, the lenders can work with you on that, as well as if you have the goal of owning an investment property and you're not going to live in it, but you're going to buy it as a rental or something. There are other loan programs for that. Typically, those types of loans prefer a 25% down payment, but it's not 100% mandatory. So that's kind of variable. So again, just stating that point, the point is to have a pre-approval from a lender who's looked at your credit and looked at your income, so that when you submit an offer, the seller knows that you're a strong buyer because you have the money to buy the house. So that's number one. The second thing that you can do is kind of identify your role or your where you are in the process to the agent. So I take a very low pressure approach. I don't want people to feel stalked, but at the same time, I come from a place of service. I want them to know that I am there to be a resource to them. And so it's kind of finding that fine line between, should I follow these people through the house and just like talk to them the whole time? Should I hang back and wait until they ask me a question? I kind of like to come and go and check in with people to see what's going on without making them feel like I'm really hounding them as they try to connect with the property. I don't want people to feel pressure. I'm a very low pressure person. So it's a good idea to just identify, we already have an agent. If you already have an agent, they'll leave you alone because they know you're not a potential client for them. B, we are just looking at this point. Maybe you're a neighbor. You're not really like seriously in the market to buy something. You're just kind of there for a good time, for, it's a fun thing to do on a Sunday afternoon. The third thing that an agent will be interested in talking to you about is if you are early in the buying process. So I had a lot of people say, we're not looking to move for 6 months, or we don't need to move, but we will make an offer when we find like the perfect property, that type of a thing. So that's fine. And if you're in that early phase of the process, the agent can still be helpful to you. So we can kind of get a feel for what you're looking for and help you identify those properties. Typically, a lot of buyers these days feel very well informed about the market because they're on like Zillow or Realtor.com or some other place that's an MLS conglomerating source. So they can pull in all that data and then the buyers can see it without building a relationship with an agent. Some of the downsides of that are that it takes time for the data to propagate from the MLS to the website, the Zillow or what have you. So it takes some time for that to propagate. So I might find out about a property up to 48 hours before it appears on Zillow. So, and this market is fast enough moving that can make a significant difference. So when you are serious and you're wanting to be buying or looking at things with the intention of buying or making an offer, it's a good idea to connect with that agent so that you can be first to the table and have the time to look at it, be able to submit an offer before 5 other people are already making other offers. So even if you're early in the process, you might say that to kind of ward off the agent, but the agent can still serve you at that point. So if you do or don't want a relationship, if you don't want that service, it's a good idea to clarify with your agent that that's the phase of the process that you're in. And then the fourth thing, which I also ran into today, was if you are a hot lead, right? You're there, you really like this house, maybe you heard about it online, or you, in this case, I had a woman whose husband had found it online and he really liked it, and he was out of town, but he wanted her to go see it, and they're trying to decide, tonight, she's making videos and stuff, is this something that we want to make an offer on? So in that case, you need to get with an agent as quickly as possible so that you can, even if you haven't decided, yes, I'm making an offer, you can still communicate your intention to the listing agent. So in this case, there were like 3 or 4 couples or families that said that they might be interested in making an offer. Now, one of them has gotten in touch with the listing agent. However, the others are still kind of in the wind. And so that listing agent, if she doesn't get any other offers in the next 24 hours, is going to be presenting, even tonight, she could present that offer to her seller and the deal could be gone within hours. I've even seen where someone will make an offer at the beginning of an open house. They'll say, I want this house, here's our offer. They kind of negotiate it over the phone, and it is off. They say, you need to close down the open house. You need to take my offer. It's not happening. So things can go quickly, and you'll want an agent who's able to write up the offer quickly, and that could certainly be the person that you meet there at the house, or it could be someone that you've looked at or built a relationship in another way. But when it comes time to make an offer, it needs to be very strong, and it needs to be in quickly in the market that we're seeing right now. It's also a good idea to call the listing agent and say, we're thinking about making an offer. We need to just sleep on it, but if we do, it'll be in there by 10 o'clock in the morning, something like that. So that way the agent will oftentimes, wait a little bit and get your offer in. She likes to be able to present, we have 3 offers to the seller, stack them up against each other, compare who do we want to work with, that type of a thing. But it's a lot easier for her to do that if she knows your offer is coming. Otherwise, maybe she takes a worse offer that came in only 20 minutes before yours because she didn't know yours was coming. So it's a good idea, if you have an intention of writing an offer, that you communicate that as soon as you know that that's in play. So again, it's been a beautiful day, sort of. The view, it's still cloudy, but the view cleared up. Can you kind of see? There's a little bit of the valley that we were overlooking in the backyard. And it's been a fun day, I'll put it that way. The weather is not as sunny as it has been, but I've certainly had a great time here, and it was really nice to get back into an open house situation and talk to a lot of people and just kind of reconnect on a personal level. Even though we had to wear face masks, it was really good to see people. And again, if you are a buyer, if you are in the market, I would encourage you to stop by my website, homeproassociates.com, and all my contact information is there. You can also email me or call me, emily.cressey@homeproassociates.com, or call 206-395-6262. 395-6262. So those are good ways to get in touch with me. I'm happy to work with you as a buyer's agent. I do that a little bit. I'm also happy to work with you as a seller's agent. So if you have a home to sell, the buying process right now is difficult. You have to be ready to go. You have to be locked and loaded. So if you're in the market to buy, we will talk through what you need to do to be prepared. So we will have that groundwork in place. Then we'll go out and look at homes. And when you find one that you like, it's going to be time to act. So it's just, it's a different mental space. Some of us are fast decision makers. Some of us are slow. For me, I really like to look at things and kind of think and feel like I can take my time and We can do that to a certain extent, but taking our time looks a lot more like hours than days.
Can I help you?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm a real estate agent. I'm just doing a Facebook Live about this house for sale. Yeah, no problem. So, that was the neighbor. See, it's a friendly neighborhood. So, that disturbed my train of thought. They probably thought I was a stalker or something like that. But, so what we want to do is just be prepared to make a decision quickly when it comes. And, you know, like I said, sometimes they move really fast, but as you educate yourself, you go to open houses, you see things online, you become a very well-informed buyer. I mean, in today's market, buyers know a ton. They see everything online. They could look at the pictures. They could see the virtual tour. You will become very well educated in the niche that you are looking for. And you can see, you know, what can I get for my money here in Everett? What can I get in Linwood? What can I get in Kenmore? You know, all the different areas. You can compare, you can shop online, you can let your fingers do the walking. So if you are that type of person that needs more time, I really encourage you to get down into the data and look at a lot of things. And then once you see something, you kind of gotten through that research phase and you see something that you like and that you think you're going to move on, then you need to be ready to go. And sometimes it takes losing a property a couple of times. You found your dream home, you made an offer, but you didn't get it. That will happen in this market more often than we would like, because it's just so competitive. There's so little inventory and there are a lot of buyers because the interest rates are low, and coronavirus and homeschooling and working from home have thrown people for a loop. We realize we need more space, we need a different layout. You know, things are still happening that have really driven a demand for real estate. So there are a lot of buyers and there are not very many sellers, and that just means you've got to be prepared to act quickly when you find the one and to come in with a strong offer. So what does a strong offer mean? What does a strong offer look like? Strong offer means that you're pre-approved. So you've talked to the lender, you've told them how much that you make, what your credit is like, what your other debts are. That's the type of information, and they usually are going to pull it from your credit score, your W-2 pay stubs, your tax information. They're going to need that documented, and it's a hassle and it's not anybody's idea of a good time. But if you do that up front, then it'll all be in place and they will save that in your file, and they'll give you a letter. It's called a pre-approval letter, and you'll be able to submit that with your offer to show that you are a strong borrower. And in some cases, if we think it's going to be a competitive situation, maybe they're all, you know, reviewing lots of offers on Sunday, and so you know there's going to be lots of offers on that day. Or maybe you called the agent and said, hey, you know, we're putting together an offer. Are there any other offers on the home? She says, yes, there are other offers on the phone, there are other offers on the home. Then you need to be ready to act with a strong offer. So you can strengthen your offer by being pre-approved. You can strengthen your offer by giving up your inspection contingency, which means typically you would pay $400 or $500 to have a professional inspector come out and look at the property. And if you did not like anything on the inspection for any reason, you could cancel and get your money back. If you waive the inspection contingency, you can still have the inspector come out and take a look at things, but you can't automatically walk out of the deal just because you didn't like something on the inspection. You can still try to renegotiate, but if you can't come to an agreement, then it's just, you're going to walk away and lose the earnest money that you've put down. So waiving the inspection contingency, coming in financed. Sorry, my hand's getting tired. I have to keep moving this a little bit. Switch hands. Shake this one out. And then we're also looking at escalation clauses now, which is a way of offering a higher price, but not too high. So this home, for example, was listed for $875,000. So if I thought it was going to be a competitive situation, and I was like, that's okay. I would be willing to pay up to $900,000 for a house like this. If that was your case, what you can do is say, we are offering $875,000, but if somebody else has a higher offer, we will beat it by $2,000 up to $900,000 as our cap. So you choose an interval, like $2,000 interval that you're going to beat it by, and you also choose the cap. So that's your maximum price, $900,000 in this example. So if you're starting out at $875 and nobody else has offered that much, then you will buy it for $875. If somebody else has offered, let's say, $890,000, then you will beat that offer by $2,000. So you'll pay $892,000. And they have to show, like, hey, we got this other offer and we want you to beat it. So they have to show documentation that another offer has come in. They can't just arbitrarily say, you know, we want you to go all the way up to your cap. They have to have a documented, legit, bona fide other offer that you're beating. And so that way you don't lose out on price, but you don't pay more than kind of what the market was demanding. So those are really good things that you can do to make your offer stronger. You could waive your financing contingency as well if you wanted to, and if you felt pre-approved and that type of thing, then you can waive your contingency. The fewer contingencies you have, the seller feels like you're more serious, because there are fewer escape clauses and there's less risk for the seller that you're gonna change your mind or do something else down the road. The only thing that you have at risk typically is your earnest money deposit. So there's no magic number that you have to have. Earnest money is just a way of showing good faith to the seller that you have skin in the game. You're not just tying up their property with paperwork, you're tying it up with an intention to buy. $5,000 is a very common amount to use for earnest money, and typically people will have that wired into their account, into the seller, after you go under contract and you have mutual acceptance. That means you've made an offer and the seller has accepted it. That's called mutual acceptance. Everybody has their signatures on that document. Once that happens, you, the buyer, have 48 hours to get your earnest money into the escrow account. So it doesn't go directly to the seller. It's held by a neutral third party, which is the escrow company that's going to be handling the paperwork on the closing. And so you'll wire that in, and it will be held by that neutral third party with the idea that you're going to be letting it go if you don't fulfill the terms of the agreement. So if you don't if you don't fulfill your obligations under the contract as a buyer, then you lose your earnest money deposit. However, if you exercise one of your contingencies, your inspection contingency, your financing contingency, then you do get that earnest money back. So it's held by a neutral third party who will disperse the funds with the idea of following the directions in the contract as far as how the funds will be handled. So that's what happens with the earnest money deposit. And you could have a larger earnest money deposit. Washington state law actually says the sellers can't keep more than 5% of the value of the house as far as liquidated earnest money goes. So you could put in a really huge earnest money deposit and still get it back. But typically that's not necessary, and that's not the driving factor. They just want enough to know that you've got skin in the game and that you're serious. So last point, and then we're going to wrap up this live, but I wanted to let you know that typically when you're working with an agent, that agent is representing you. So if you are a buyer, that agent has specific fiduciary responsibilities to help you as a buyer, and the agent representing the seller, who's the agent whose name is on the sign and a lot of the marketing, is representing the seller. So there's kind of, whose interests is the agent supposed to be standing up for? And you as a buyer's agent want someone who's going to be representing you, your best interest, getting your money back, getting your inspections, getting your negotiation done, all of those things that are going to be helping you and not necessarily the seller. So having someone represent you is what a buyer's agent is for. And the nice thing is that it doesn't cost you anything directly. There's nothing out of pocket. mostly real estate agents work on commission, and that commission is negotiated with the seller and the listing agent who decide to sell the house. I usually ask for 6%, and how that works is that it gets split. Half, 3%, goes to the listing agent, and half, 3%, goes to the buyer's agent. And so when the house closes, that money comes from the funds that the seller would have gotten. It comes, and the agents are paid out at that time. So agents are not paid typically. I mean, you can negotiate anything you want with any agent, but for the most part, and certainly when you're working with me, you're not going to pay by the hour. There's no upfront cost. There's no obligation. The agent is serving and serving and serving you, and as long as that's a good fit, then you will come to a successful conclusion of your transaction, and she will get paid at that point. But again, it's not out of your pocket, and the price is pre-negotiated. It's coming out of the seller's proceeds, pretty much whether or not you work with an agent. So I think it's always a good idea to have someone who's knowledgeable in the field who can represent you. So those are some tips. I hope that helps you go out to your next open house, or when you're looking around online, or maybe even you're ready to start working with an agent. I hope these tips kind of help you get an idea for what you need to do to be ready to kind of get out there and be successful, both when you're in that initial early research phase, and then also when you're later on in the process, ready to make an offer, and you want to come out strong out of the box, so that when you finally find a home that you like and you'd love to live in, that you're able to like capture it and get it under contract so it doesn't get away from you. So again, this is Emily Cressey. I am a real estate broker in the North Seattle area. I'm up here in Everett today doing a beautiful open house. And if there's anything that I can do to help you, shoot me a note here on Facebook. Head over to my website, homeproassociates.com, or give me a call or email. My phone is 206-395-6262. And my email is emily.cressey@homeproassociates.com. Thanks so much. Let me know what you think of this video, and I will look forward to hearing from you later. Bye-bye.